Hello and thanks for watching Best Maths Tutors. I'm continuing to go through the Edexcel Foundation Tier Paper 1 from 2019 and we're on question 13 now. I'm going to cover all the questions, so hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more of these. So question 13 says the length of a line is x centimetres and we've got to write down an expression in terms of x for the length of the line in millimetres. So all we need to know for that is that there's actually 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. So what that means is then that whatever we have in centimetres, we're going to multiply by 10. So the answer is it's 10 times x, which if we want to write it a little bit more algebraically without the times sign, that's the same as saying 10x. So that would be our answer, 10x. And that's because there's 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. Question 14 is a question about fractions. So we've asked first of all to work out the value of 1/5 of 70. And the first thing we need to know is when we've got of, we can replace that mathematically by saying times. So that's the same as saying 1/5 times 70. And then when we have multiplication by a fraction, what we do is we multiply by the top number. So multiply by the top and we divide by the bottom. So if we do that, then we've got 1 times 70 first of all, and that will give us 70. Obviously 1 times 70, 1 times something is just itself, and then we're going to divide by the bottom number. So we're going to do 70 divided by 5, and we get 5 into 7 goes once, carry the 2, and then we're going to get that goes in 4 times. So 70 divided by 5 is 14, and that's our answer. Then we're told Fiona has to work out the exact value of 48 divided by a half. And what she's written is 48 divided by a half is 24. And she's wrong. So this is wrong, actually. And Fiona's given a reason for this. And she said there's 2 halves in 1. So there'll be 24 halves in 48. So we've got to explain what's wrong with her reason. So I would say we can see here that there are 2 halves in 1. So there's twice as many halves as the actual number. So instead of dividing by 2, we should have multiplied the 48 by 2 and we should have got 96. So there are twice as many halves as the number. So we should have multiplied 48 by 2 to get 96. So that's it for question 14. Question 15 is a question about roots and powers. And so first of all, we've got to find the square root. This means the square root of 64. And the square root means what number can I times by itself that would give us 64. So we can see that if we times 8 by 8, we would get 64. So that means that the square root of 64 then is equal to 8, because I can times 8 by itself and that will give us 64. So that's our answer there, 8. Now we've got to work out the value of 5 to the power 3, which in other words is 5 cubed. And that means the number at the top there means how many times we multiply it by itself. So this would mean 5 times 5 times 5. So the 3 tells us we've got 3 5s there. So if we do that, we've got 5 times 5 is 25. And then times 5 again would give us 125. If we wanted to show all the work in there, we could just say, well, 5 times 5, first of all, equals 25. And then if we want to show that in column multiplication, we could show it like this. 5 times 25 is, well, 5 times 5, first of all, is 25. Carry the 2. And 5 times 2 is 10. Plus the 2 gives us 12. And carry the 1 is 125. Question 16 is some algebra. So we've got this bracket, 2m minus 3, and I've got to multiply it by 5. So when we have a number next to a bracket with no symbol in between, that actually means 5 times the 2m minus the 3. And what we've got to do is we've got to multiply everything inside the bracket by the 5. So first of all, we'd go 5 times the 2m, and we'd go, well, the numbers multiply together to give us 5 times 2 is 10, and then that's how many m's we've got there. So 5 times 2m would give us 10m, and then we've got 5 times negative 3. So the sign there is important, and so 5 times 3 is 15, but because it's minus, that's minus 15. So that's that one done. So if we look at B, we've got to factorise 3n plus 12. So factorising means putting things into brackets. So it's actually the opposite of the process above. So we started off with something that was factorised, and we multiplied it out. Now we've got to go in the opposite direction. And to do that, we've got to look for a number that will go into all parts of the thing we're trying to factorise. So we can see that 3 would go into the first part, and actually 3 will also divide into 12. So we can see that 12 is in the 3 times table. So that means that we can put a 3 at the front of the bracket, and then inside the bracket, what we've got to do is we've got to write what we could multiply by 3 that will get us back to where we started. So we'd have to write an n there, first of all, because we have to times n by 3 to get back to the 3n. And then we'd have to say, what would we have to times 3 by to get to the 12? And the answer is 3 times 4 gives us 12. So that means there's a 4 there. So that's our answer, because we can check that. If we did 3 times n, that would give us a 3n. If we did 3 times 4, that would give us 12. So we're done. That's it. 3n plus 4. Question 17 is about experimental probability. And what that means is when we do some sort of form of operation like throwing a coin, so we've got a biased coin, it says here, and we record how many times we get either heads or tails. So we're being asked that Stuart and Maxine have been throwing this biased coin. So Stuart does it 10 times, Maxine does it 50 times, and we're asked who will get the better estimate for the probability. What I can say is it's Maxine, because she threw the coin more times, and that's because the more times you carry out the experiment, the closer you get to the true value, so the better your estimate, the probability will become. So in part 2, we've got to use Stuart's and Maxine's results to work out an estimate that the probability that Prasha will get tails. So she's throwing the coin only once. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine both Stuart and Maxine's results. So we'll combine Stuart and Maxine's results. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add the total number of tails. So we've got 37 tails in total if we add the 7 and the 30. So we've got 37 tails out of, and then if we add the total number of goes, it's 10 and 50 out of 60. And so that means the probability that Prasha will get a tail is equal to the number of tails, so it's the number of times we did get a tail, is equal to 37, and then divided by, so we write it as a fraction, divided by the number of goes, so divided by 60. And that's it. That's our answer to that one. So I hope that's been useful to you. If it has, please like our video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.